Center Lane. I'm also being told, you know, we were watching this pursuit taking place westbound on 635. Now, I think they're on a different highway. This is southbound 45 in Ellis. And again, just to reiterate, this pursuit has been happening for over an hour. And as we were pointing out, when this whole thing started, because this individual, you know, sped away from a gas station, he could have, or she could have, a full tank of gas, and this could continue on for hours.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, you know, one of the things the law nationally in regards to hot pursuit, which this is, so if he crosses over to another state, the law enforcement from Dallas, Texas, that are pursuing him right now, have the right to go into the next state and pursue him. So there's no jurisdiction that, oh, I crossed the line, you can't get me anymore.
Sure. Now, if they've run the plate, they know what if any, prior record this suspect has, and I assume that would also tell them whether the person is likely to be armed. Would you make that assumption as well?
Well, here's one of the things you always go with. If someone's in a situation like this, you go with the premise that the person could be armed or is armed until you prove differently. You know, when we make a gun arrest, you know, we never stop the search when we find one gun. We go with the premise that there could be a second gun. So you know, you have to go with that premise. Again, safety is paramount. And car stops and domestic violence incidents are where cops get killed and seriously injured the most.
And you would never do a roadblock, would you?
Well, you know what? If there was no traffic there are things you can set up. But the roadblock, you're going to have damage. You're going to have, you know, you're going to have a collision. You might, you know, someone might get hurt. Seriously. But as you know, we got a lot of cars. There's a heck of a lot of law enforcement cars coming in on this. So, you know, somewhere along the line, there will be some sort of stop. They may even have a spike strip set up totally across the highway and are in traffic being deviated off on one of the exits and further down the highway.
It's amazing that someone would take a fairly low order of misdemeanor, driving off without paying for gas, and escalate it to one of the most serious felonies there is. I assume it could be theoretically attempted murder of a police officer, which in Texas, I imagine, would carry an awfully stiff penalty.
Well, in New York City, you know, in the penal law in New York, and I'm sure it's the same thing all over the United States, the assault on a police officer is what we call assault 2, and that's a high felony.
Punishable by?
Oh, 7 years in jail.
Really? Or if it's a repeat offender, much higher.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Well, we're on I-45. This began a little over an hour and 25 minutes ago, and they're still on I-45. Have been for a while. I'm sorry, my producer is talking to me. Go ahead.
They're in Ennis, I believe she was telling us.
They're approaching Ennis. I'm sorry.
So this whole chase has been happening through multiple counties. That's why there are 3 different jurisdictions, at least county-wise, police who are pursuing this truck. You can see that the cop car out in front of the truck. They're trying to, I guess, get around them in different ways, different maneuvers, talking about spike strips, talking about different maneuvers to possibly get this individual to stop. I've been watching this, here live on HLN for the last 20 minutes or so, but the pursuit, we're told, has been taking place, hour and 11 minutes or so.
Brooke, this also, you see 2 police cars there right now.
Yeah.
This could be, and I don't know if it is, this could be the beginning of the box situation.
So explain that.
Box them in.
Yeah,
explain that, Wally.
What happens is you get 2 cars in front, or you get 2 cars, one in the front and one in the back, and when you have an area that's open where there is no vehicular traffic, you try to box them in. That is, your car, the lead car, gets behind him and goes slower and slower, and the one behind him starts to, get in on his rear. And it's called a box situation.
Who's to say that the truck driver wouldn't ram the police car?
He may just as well do that.
And that's what you're talking about, just in terms of, these police officers putting their lives in danger to stop this car.
Absolutely. The truck right now, that truck can do a pit maneuver on the police car.
Yeah. How do they communicate with each other? It looks like a DPS officer trailing him in the black cruiser, and looks like either sheriff or local PD in front. How do they talk on the same frequency?
Okay, well, what we have, like, for instance, in New York, we have a citywide frequency that we're able to communicate point to, cars to cars throughout the whole city. And they have what they call a point-to-point system, where they have county, state, and local, where they can go on one frequency. There are multiple bands, multiple frequencies that the FCC gives out to law enforcement. And of those frequencies, one of them is a point-to-point where they can all talk together. So they have that communication ability.
So they just say go to channel whatever, and that's the
switch to all units, switch to channel C.
Gotcha. Well, it doesn't look like the spike strips work. I think that's a fair assumption. It doesn't look like that truck is disabled in any respect. The wet pavement, obviously, that presents a challenge, but as you say, they may be starting to box this driver in. Thankfully, the traffic is pretty light. Now it looks like they're peeling back, and they're going to let him pass again. Let's just watch and see what happens. He has never been off a freeway system in over an hour, he or she. The suspect is wanted for assault on a police officer, that being trying to run over a police officer who was responding to a report, I guess, of a driver driving off without paying at a gas station in Grayson County. We're talking several miles north of Dallas. The pursuit began there. It went through Collin County, which is immediately north of Dallas, and is now in or near Dallas proper on Interstate 45. It is the noon hour. It's 12:14 Central Daylight. Very light traffic, thankfully. A few truckers, but that's about it. They've tried a few spike strip maneuvers without any success so far. The driver's been going pretty much at highway speeds, although at one point speeded up quite a lot, and is now going what looks to be a little bit faster than highway speed, as you can see. It's kind of hard to gauge because, you know, you have no perspective, but I would assume that everybody around there knows it's a pursuit in progress, and they're slowing down if they're not entirely pulling off. In fact, there was a trucker pulling up. A lot of people are on the side, on the apron here. They're giving as much ground as they possibly can to save themselves and save other fellow drivers. But again, that's the driver of this F-150 pickup truck being sought for assault on a police officer. The chase continues on I-45. We're joined by... Go ahead, Wally.
No, if you notice, he was staying parallel to him, which is an indication that they could try to keep him in that
lane,
express lane for the spike strip, so he doesn't deviate over to the right.
Yeah.
Or perhaps deviating to the right and off on an exit ramp, and then taking this whole thing into secondary roads. Correct?
Right. Correct. Secondary roads at this hour are not a good choice.
Yeah. Well, it's not clear if they have been in contact with him. I think the assumption would be at this point they haven't, but we don't really know. It's been over an hour. Is there any time limit on this? Time's on your side, right? You've got a full tank of gas. That's the only variable, right?
That's the unfortunate variable, and there's time is, you know what, time will go on and on and on. There's always a change of tour at 4 o'clock. There's always a change of tour at 12 o'clock. They'll stay with it as long as they have to.
There's some overtime involved. Is that what you're saying?
There's always overtime, especially for the arresting officer, you know, the process. But this is, you know, there might be more to the picture, unless this person is scared, because, you know, petty larceny is, you know, it's a misdemeanor. It's punishable up to a year, you know, so if it's a first offense, you know, they may go light on him. But the fact that he assaulted a police officer, that changes everything.
Absolutely.
All bets are off on this particular situation.
What's the trick in laying down spike strips? They tried 3 times, apparently, without success.
The trick in laying out spike strips is not knowing, the driver not knowing where they are, or seeing them throw them out. The hard part about it is you got to worry about other traffic that has nothing to do with it that might run those spike strips. That's why you try to get ahead of this particular person and have other people exit off the highway and have them in an area of the spike strips where he didn't see them placed. So, you know, it's all a game of timing, cat and mouse, and right place, right time.
Absolutely. Law enforcement analyst Mike Brooks on the line, too. Mike, how you doing?
Good, Chuck. Good to join you.
You've been watching this?
Yeah, I've been watching it. Since the spike strips didn't work, he or she now, it looks like he is southbound on 45, has just left Dallas County.
No problem at all.
And now into Ellis County.
Oh, he's not in Dallas County anymore.
Apparently he is now going into Ellis County. Yep. So, I mean, it's unusual that we've seen this guy. He has stayed on the interstate and, you know, has not gone to any side streets. Because, you know, what we see a lot of times, Chuck, is somebody who's being chased, they'll go to an area that they're familiar with. But he stayed on the interstate now for, you know, over an hour. And, now that he's wanted, we know that he is wanted for APO, assault on a police officer. I guarantee you that they are going to chase him probably until the wheels fall off.
Absolutely. Well, if he has a full tank of gas, it could be Corpus Christi. I mean,
that's exactly right.
He can go.
He was at a gas station, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of those big trucks, he can probably get 400 miles out of that thing. Who knows?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's an F-150 pickup truck. We don't know who's behind the wheel, male or female, but apparently a drive-off situation at a gas station is what precipitated it. That was called the crime scene, but of course it was escalated dramatically when the driver apparently tried to run over a sheriff's deputy, and I'm not sure whether the sheriff's deputy was from Grayson County or Collin County, one of those counties immediately north of Dallas, and this chase has gone on for almost an hour and a half and is now heading south, I think still on I-45. I've not seen him or entering Navarro County. Now, we've got a lot of jurisdictions here. Every time they pick up another county, Mike, what happens? Do those agencies